He bought another cake. Was this planned or am I missing something?
The knife was already in her hand. 9 candles flickered soft and golden, reflecting in Lily's eyes like tiny stars. The room buzzed with laughter, kids shifting in their seats, parents holding up phones, someone in the back already singing off key. Everything was perfect until it wasn't. But before we continue, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell for updates, because right as Lily leaned forward, ready to make her wish, a hand reached across the table and took the cake away. Not slowly, not playfully, deliberately. The singing collapsed mid-word. You ever hear a room go silent all at once? It's not quiet, it's heavy, like the air itself is waiting to see what happens next. And then my father spoke. This is for my real grandchild. Not whispered, not awkward. Clear, sharp, final. My name is Elena Carter. I'm 34, and I've handled disasters for a living, weddings gone wrong, events falling apart, people screaming over nothing. But nothing prepares you for the moment your child gets humiliated and you freeze. Lily didn't cry. That would have been easier. She just stood there. Her hands were still slightly raised, like she hadn't realized the cake was gone yet, like her brain was trying to catch up with what just happened. And her smile, it didn't disappear. It just stopped growing. No one moved. Not her friends. Not the parents. Not even Daniel, my husband, standing right beside me. And me? I didn't yell. I didn't rush forward. I didn't grab the cake back. I just stood there staring at my father, Richard, 62, holding that cake like he had every right in the world. And in that moment, one question hit me harder than anything else. How long has he been waiting to do this? Because this didn't feel impulsive. It felt planned. I walked toward him slowly, every step measured, controlled. The room watched, waiting. And when I finally stopped in front of him, I said 4 words. Quiet, calm, controlled. Put it down, now. The music cut off completely. And my father smiled. What kind of person does that at a child's birthday party? That's probably what you're thinking right now. But if you knew my father, you'd understand this didn't come out of nowhere. Richard Carter has always believed in one thing above everything else. Blood matters. Not love. Not loyalty. Not who shows up. Blood. And once you see the world that way, you start dividing people without even realizing it. Or maybe he realized it perfectly. It didn't start with the cake. It started years ago. I was 24 when I married Daniel Carter, 36. He was kind, steady, the kind of man who avoided conflict like it was something contagious. And he came with a daughter, Maya, 11. I still remember the first time I met her. She didn't speak much, just held on to Daniel's hand and watched me like she was trying to figure out if I was temporary. She wasn't wrong to wonder, but I stayed. And over time, something real formed. Not forced, not labeled, just real. By the time Lily was born, Maya was already calling me mom without asking if it was okay. But my father, he never adjusted. At first, it was subtle. 2 Christmas gifts for Lily, 1 for Maya. Different tone, different attention. Little comments slipped into conversations like they didn't matter. Well, she's not really ours. She'll always have her other side. I shut it down every time. Every single time. But Daniel, he'd squeeze my hand and whisper, just let it go. He's old-fashioned. Old-fashioned. That's what we called it when it was small enough to ignore. But things like that don't stay small. They grow, they get louder. And last Thanksgiving, it finally broke the surface. We were all at the table, plates half full, conversation easy. Until my father leaned back, looked at Lily, then at Maya, and said it. At least one of them carries our name properly. No hesitation, no apology, just truth according to him. The room went silent then, too. Funny how history repeats itself. That was the night I told him not to come around anymore. No holidays, no visits, no exceptions. So when I saw him walk into Lily's party smiling, holding a neatly wrapped gift like nothing had ever happened, I should have stopped him. I should have walked him right back out. But I didn't, because Lily saw him first. Her face lit up. Grandpa, she ran to him, and he bent down, hugged her, smiled like the past didn't exist, like he hadn't drawn that line. And for a second, just one, I thought maybe I'd been wrong. Maybe he changed. Maybe this was him trying. But then I noticed something. He wasn't looking at Lily anymore. His eyes had already moved past her, locked onto someone else. Maya. Why was he looking at Maya like that? Not warmly, not even cold. Measured, like he was evaluating something or waiting. The moment he stepped fully into the room, it became obvious, at least to me, that he wasn't here for Lily. Not really. Because the first thing he did wasn't greet the birthday girl. He walked straight past her and handed the gift to Maya. Here, he said, almost casually. Maya froze, glancing at me like she'd done something wrong just by existing in that moment. It's not my birthday, she said quietly. I know, he replied. That was it. No explanation. And right there, something tightened in my chest. You ever feel like something's off, but you can't prove it yet? That's what this was. I stepped closer to Daniel. Did you know he was coming? I whispered. He shook his head, too quickly. I thought you invited him, he said. Of course he did. That's how this always worked, responsibility drifting just out of reach. Then I saw it, a second cake. Smaller, plain white frosting, no decorations, no name, no candles. Just there, sitting in the box he carried in like it belonged. I walked over to him, lowering my voice. What is that? He barely looked at me. Just in case, he said. Just in case what? That question stayed with me because nothing about this felt random anymore. The party moved on anyway. Music picked back up, kids laughed, parents tried to pretend they didn't notice the tension thickening under everything. And Lily, she adapted like kids do, smiling, playing, pretending everything was normal even when it wasn't. That almost made it worse. Then came the moment, cake time. Everyone gathered, phones out, lights dimmed just enough. Lily stood at the center of it all, her cake in front of her, the one we designed together, down to every color and detail. Her name written perfectly across the top. She held the knife with both hands, grinning. Ready? Someone called. The singing started, happy birthday to you. And then movement. My father stepped forward, not hesitating, not asking. He reached out and lifted the cake off the table. The singing stuttered, then collapsed completely. And before anyone could react, before I could even process what was happening, he said it. Clear, loud, unshaken. This is for my real grandchild. No one laughed. That's the first thing I remember. Because sometimes people laugh when things get uncomfortable, like it softens the blow, but not this time. This time, nothing. Just silence. Lily's hands were still slightly raised, like she was about to cut into a cake that no longer existed in front of her. Her eyes flicked from the empty table to my father, like she was trying to understand the rules of a game no one explained. Maya didn't move either. If anything, she looked worse. Frozen, shoulders tight, like she wished she could disappear entirely rather than be the center of whatever this was. Daniel shifted beside me, one step forward, then stopped. That hesitation, it wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, but I felt it. And once you notice something like that, You can't unsee it. Every parent in the room was watching now, waiting, not just for what my father would do next, but for what I would do. So I moved, slowly, deliberately. Each step toward him felt heavier than it should have. Not because I was unsure, but because something inside me had already settled. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a bad joke. This was a choice. Planned, carried out, delivered exactly the way he intended. I stopped right in front of him, close enough to take the cake back, close enough to end it immediately. But I didn't reach for it, not yet. Instead, I looked at the smaller cake still sitting off to the side, playing, waiting. Then at Maya, then at Lily, and in that moment, it all connected. He didn't just want to hurt. He wanted to separate, to make it visible, public, undeniable. One child chosen, one child not. So I gave him exactly what he thought he wanted. A moment. I met his eyes and said, calm and steady, put it down now. The music cut completely. Even the background chatter died instantly. For a second, just one, he looked surprised. Then he smiled, actually smiled. Or what, he said. Like this was still something he controlled. Like I was still someone who would back down, but I didn't answer him, not directly. Instead, I turned slowly and looked at Daniel, really looked at him, not as my husband, not as someone trying to keep the peace, but as a father. And I asked one question: are you going to fix this? The room held its breath. Daniel opened his mouth, then closed it. His eyes moved from me to Lily to Maya to my father, calculating, hesitating, choosing. And in that pause, in that single fragile moment where something should have happened, he did nothing. And that was all I needed to see. That silence from Daniel, that was the answer. Not confusion, not shock, a choice. And once I saw it clearly, everything else became simple. I turned back to my father, no hesitation this time. I stepped forward, took the cake straight out of his hands, and placed it back in front of Lily exactly where it belonged. He didn't resist. Maybe he didn't expect me to actually do it. Maybe he thought I'd keep negotiating, like always. Not anymore. I adjusted the cake slightly, straightened the candles, then looked at both girls, Lily and Maya, and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "This party is for my daughters, both of them." Not a correction, a declaration. For a second, no one reacted. Then one of the moms, quiet until now, started singing again, soft at first, "Happy birthday to you." Another parent joined, then another, until the whole room picked it back up stronger than before. Lily looked at me, really looked this time. And something in her face changed, not confusion anymore. Relief. Maya stepped closer to her, their shoulders touching. And when it came time to cut the cake, they held the knife together, both of them side by side. Emotional payoff lands. My father tried to speak again. Don't make this into something it's not. But he didn't get to finish because this time people stepped in. One parent told him firmly, "You need to leave." Another echoed it. Then another, the room that stayed silent before, it wasn't silent anymore. Social consequences unfold. He looked at me, expecting backup. He didn't get it. So he left, alone. And Daniel, he stayed exactly where he was, still quiet, still stuck somewhere between what's easy and what's right. That night, after everyone was gone, I didn't argue, didn't raise my voice. I just told him the truth. If you can't stand up for both of them, you don't get to stand here at all. We separated within a week. Personal consequences. As for my father, I didn't call, didn't explain, and he didn't come back. Logical closure. A month later, Lily asked me if Grandpa was ever coming to another birthday. I told her no. She thought about it, then nodded. Okay, she said. Then she looked at Maya and added, can we make the next cake together? Maya smiled, and just like that, the line my father tried to draw in front of everyone was gone, not erased, overwritten by something stronger.
What would you have done? And did he plan it from the start?